Well, good evening. We are still on the E in the word leader, the second E, and it is that leaders are encouragers. And one of the things that I want to say to you is that most of us, in fact, all of us, one of our basic needs is to feel significant, to feel like we mattered, to feel like we've done something positive to make the world a better place. And the way that we do that is through the gifts and talents and strengths that we possess as a human being. And an excellent leader recognizes those things in the members of their team, calls them out, encourages, again, pours in that courage about the fact that that team member can do certain things or that that team member does things well, and pushes that team member to do those things, to hone their skill, to get better at whatever it is. And I have an example in my own life that happened to me when I was a young leader. I was a worker in the youth ministry in my church. At the time, I was about 32 years old, and there was a woman. In fact, there was a two. There was a woman and a gentleman, and they were both the leaders. And the woman one night said to me, "The next time we meet, I want you to speak." And I looked at her. I was 32 years old. I had been doing some speaking for my job. In fact, I had joined the Speakers Bureau, but speaking like preaching was not something that I at all felt qualified to do. But she said, no, you need to do this. And I did it. And I spoke from Psalm 32. I will never forget this for as long as I live. This is imprinted on my brain. I got there that night. We sat in a circle. I was holding my notes. I was holding my Bible. I was shaking. The Bible was shaking. My notes were shaking. My voice was shaking. Everything was shaking. I was so scared. And I stumbled through what I felt that I needed to say based on that passage of scripture. And when I was done, I was so glad. I wanted to run out of the room, jump into my car, go home. And she looked at me and she said, "You have the gift to teach." And I looked at her and I was like, "Really? I don't think so." And then she never asked me to speak again. So I said, "Oh, well, she told me I had the gift to teach, but maybe she didn't think so." But that was when I was 32. When I was 54, I started teaching in the degree program of the university where I taught for 15 years. I had actually started teaching 3 years before in the adult education program. So I started teaching 32, 42, 52, 20 years later. But I would have never even attempted that had that individual not seen that in me, recognized it, and called me out. So that all of a sudden, teaching became a possibility. And so here I am now on this YouTube video telling you about leadership, because what I know best to teach is leadership. So one of the things that I want to encourage you as a leader to do, and I've done it many times, is to recognize the strengths of the people on your team. Let them know that you see those strengths. Call those strengths out. Encourage them. Pour that courage into them to do what it is that they need to do, whether it's writing, whether it's speaking, whether it's computer and analysis skills, whatever it is. As a leader, the best way to give someone significance is to see what they do, what they're strong at, call it out, and then encourage them, push them toward doing it. Have a good evening.